Today, I will share a principle that will help you transform all unclear tasks into a structured system sorted by priority. This will bring you a clear, understandable, and predictable result. Most importantly, it will make your outer and inner world clear. In short, I will help you organize the house of your life. To start, I want to prepare the ground a little bit so that you understand the main point of the video, the meaning of its title, and why I am looking into this topic at all. Let's start with an interesting fact. The first is that your sleep quality automatically improves if you measure or track it. This literally means that if you wake up tomorrow and write down the amount of sleep you had tonight, write down how you feel and so on, your sleep quality will automatically improve. But why does this happen? To put it very shortly, in the simplest and non-scientific language possible, your brain gets feedback from the outside world. Thanks to this, it begins to react more clearly to the events you are tracking. As a result, it adapts and adjusts its own behavior. This works in absolutely every area of life. We can use physical activity as an example. If you write down the number of steps you take a day, you will automatically start walking a bit more over time. The improvements might not happen every day, but you will definitely start walking more. If you track your food and your diet, your eating habits will improve, including the speed of weight loss or weight gain, depending on what you need. What I'm trying to say is that to change something in your own life, to change reality in some way, you first needed to face it. You need to notice it, track it, see it, and later, after you have done all that, you must measure it. If you do not measure what happens in your own life, you will not be able to control it, simply because your actions will be random. As an example, imagine this situation. You don't know that you earn less than the average person. In this case, you will definitely not suddenly start earning more, simply because it requires putting in more effort than you are putting in now. But where will the energy for these actions come from if you don't even know what position you are in right now? You are not aware that you earn less than average. Moreover, if you don't know how much you earn, then even if you start earning more, it will remain hidden from you. It is all because you don't track anything. Your expenses are random, just like your earnings. And that is why even an increase in income means nothing to you. The same can be said about sleep. If you simply do not track it, you will not be able to change it. But even if your sleep suddenly changes somehow because of outside situations, you will not even be able to notice whether your sleep got better or worse. And especially if you don't measure your mood after you wake up, you will not find out how the sleep improvement affected your mood. Because you don't track the amount of daily sleep, you will not know that your mood went up because your sleep improved, and vice versa. If your sleep gets worse, you will not understand that your mood is connected to it, and that your mood dropped precisely because of this. This is exactly why this video is called Why 99% of People Don't Control Their Lives. The point is that the average person's lives revolves around unexplained things, and they simply don't understand why they need to control all of it. Therefore, I advise you to start writing things down for yourself, tracking things and measuring things. And believe me, this is truly something you really need to do. The main idea of this video that I want to share is this: you can only effectively manage what is measured. The easiest way to understand this is with the example of money. Before investing your funds somewhere, we always check what profit it will bring us. For example, we see a chart of other data provided by a certain company where we want to invest this money. Let's say it is 20% per year. We have inflation and 5% per year. Thus, we get 15% of predictable net profit. We can reinvest this money and get a predictable result. We do the same thing with our lives: emotional, physical, and intellectual resources. We need numbers to adjust them correctly. But now, here is a question for you. Where are these numbers? Where are the numbers that tell you where to invest your energy? And in fact, this is a very important skill, because only when you start tracking what happens in your life will you understand that you can control it. You will realize how much energy you spend and on which actions, how you feel after that, and so on. This is exactly why most people like RPG games, because they are very intuitive and easy to understand. The point is that every action we take leads to a specific result that we see instantly. For example, if we used a skill, our amount of mana goes down. If someone hits us, our HP goes down. If we completed a quest, we get 10 gold for it, and so on. All these actions lead us to an obvious result, but in reality, you can do something similar with your life. It is just that most people don't do this. Nobody notes down even the small things. I'm sure that many of those who watch this video don't have a personal diary and don't write down anything at all about their lives. That is, people just do things, but nobody makes any important notes. And there is nothing unusual about this. The absolutely majority acts this way. A very interesting thought comes from this: all people want to have a good mood, everyone wants to feel good, make their loved ones happy, and so on. But most people chase this goal is completely the wrong way. That is, if you act like everyone else, meaning you do not write write down anything and don't do anything. You will most likely just mindlessly watch movies, watch TikTok, break your sleep schedule and eat anything, because you generally don't care. You don't notice that something is changing. For example, if you eat everything, your weight grows. But if you don't track either of them, you will never understand how one is connected to the other. It will seem to you that it is not about the food, but about age or some illness, even though the cause is actually right in front of you, but you don't notice it. But when you track what happens in your life and note down how one element is connected to the other, it becomes obvious pretty quickly that to be happy, it is enough just to keep a sleep schedule, eat right and exercises. And then any other people who does not track their lives might tell you, there is no life more boring than one where you have to write everything down and track everything. But think about it, why do they say that? Because they have never measured anything. They don't know what is actually happening around them. So never find yourself in the position of a person who does not measure their life and does not understand what happens and the general situation in their life actually depend on. Therefore, I have a small interesting quest for you now. Just take 6 months to track any activity you want. You don't need to track everything at once. To start, it is enough to just try tracking your sleep schedule, perhaps the number of steps per day and other activities. If you know how to count calories and you go to the gym, you can track the amount of food, the number of calories and the number of workout sets. But you can start with basics, just the sleep schedule, because it is as simple as possible to do. In fact, it is one of the most important things in your life, which scientists have proven many times, because our mood and our general state almost directly depend on the quality and amount of sleep. The main thing is, don't try to track everything at the start. Start with something simple, and then later, as you get used to it, you can introduce something new. I hope my thoughts today reached you and will help you in the future. Also, I want to add that tracking various metrics in your life, such as money, sleep, activity and so on, does not guarantee success. But at the very least, you will begin to better understand what is happening in your life and what you should spend your time and resources on. You will already become a person who has some understanding of what is happening in their life, that their life is not chaos and a collection of random events, but a well-built system where things are connected to each other. Good luck to everyone!